I'm Michelle Sunner, one of several members of Grant Wood's Brain Injury Resource Team. I'm going to share information on the anatomy of the brain. The brain is a complex organ. To learn more about the impacts of traumatic brain injuries, it is important to have knowledge of the anatomy of the brain and lobe functions. We are going to watch a brief video explaining the anatomy of the brain.
The brain is an incredibly complex organ, and what the brain does is truly amazing. The brain is the body's computer. It stores memories and controls thoughts, emotions, and all of the body's movements. Dr. Green, can you tell us more about how the brain does these remarkable things?
Certainly, Dr. Reynolds. Everything we know and everything we do is filtered, analyzed, and organized by the brain. The brain controls our personalities, our attitudes, our feelings, and attractions, pretty much all the things that make us who we are. The brain also communicates with all the organs and muscles in the body, from telling the heart to beat, a function of the brainstem, to making our legs move when we want to run, a function of the motor cortex. Different parts of the brain are responsible for different things. A healthy adult brain weighs about 2.5 to 3 pounds and is located inside the skull, which protects the brain from injury. Inside the skull, 3 thin protective layers called the meninges cover the brain. The space between the meninges and the brain is filled with a clear liquid called cerebral spinal fluid. This fluid works to keep the central nervous system healthy. The brain constantly sends and receives signals from all over the body. The body then uses these signals to do things like think, move, talk, see, and understand. These signals also control personality, mood, and behavior. Each part of the brain has a specific job and links with other parts of the brain to do more difficult tasks. The most basic functions of the brain, such as the ones that control your heartbeat and breathing, are governed by the brainstem, which is the innermost part of the brain. Further outward, more complicated functions such as emotions and memories are controlled by the limbic system. Autonomic nerves, which regulate internal organs such as the stomach and intestines, and the endocrine system, which includes all the body's hormone-producing glands, are also controlled by the limbic system. The most complex functions, such as reasoning and decision-making, are controlled at the outermost level in the cerebrum. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It has a wrinkled surface of alternating hills known as gyri and valleys known as sulci. The cerebrum is divided into 2 halves known as the left and right hemispheres. Each hemisphere of the cerebrum is divided into 4 sections called lobes. These lobes are known as the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe. At the back of the brain, beneath the occipital lobes, is the cerebellum. Like the cerebrum, the cerebellum is divided into 2 halves called hemispheres. The main job of the cerebellum is to control, regulate, and coordinate movement, posture, and balance.
The cerebrum forms what most people think of as the brain. It lies on top of the brainstem and is the largest area of the brain. It is divided into 2 halves, the right hemisphere, which controls the left side of the body, and the left hemisphere, which controls the right side of the body. Each hemisphere contains 4 lobes: the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and temporal lobe. The frontal lobes of the brain are the largest and responsible for executive functions. Examples of different executive functions include organization, memory, problem-solving, concentration, and self-control. Another executive function is being able to determine right from wrong and being able to monitor and change behavior as needed. Some speech is also controlled by the frontal lobes. The parietal lobes are involved in movement and input such as vision, hearing, and memory. They are helpful with academic skills such as reading. The occipital lobes are at the back of the brain and process information from the eyes. The temporal lobes are located around ear level. They are the main memory center of the brain, contributing to both long and short-term memories. They are also involved with understanding what is heard and with being able to speak. An area on the right side is involved with visual memory. An area on the left side is involved with verbal memory. The back area helps people interpret emotions and reactions of others. The word cerebellum means little brain. The cerebellum is located at the base of the brain and is involved with the coordination of movement. It makes up approximately 10% of the brain's volume and contains at least half of the brain's neurons. The brainstem is a part of the brain located beneath the cerebrum and in front of the cerebellum. It connects the spinal cord to the rest of the brain and is responsible for regulating many of the body's basic functions, such as breathing. It is sometimes referred to as the most primitive portion of the brain. For more information on the anatomy of the brain, explore the websites listed on this presentation. Thank you.